The Soviet Partisan Command. Okay, what about them? They were advancing. They do not have, advancing from the east. They did not have a direct hand in the affair that we are discussing. But what happened later? These were communist cells. Jews who came to Israel, who made Aliyah, who immigrated to Israel from the Soviet Union in the early 70s, said that there were deliberations in the Soviet Union after the war, and there were so many trials and inquiries to all those who were suspected in cooperating with the Nazis. And the head of the communist cell in the ghetto was not promoted after the war. He was held in contempt, and he was undergraded because he gave a hand and because his cell decided that the commander, who is a communist, would be turned over to the Germans. I'm not sure they minded so much about, they cared so much about the fate of the ghetto, but they minded very much about a prominent communist that was asked to surrender himself. Now, except for these interesting testimonies, I asked, unfortunately I don't know Russian, but I asked researchers and students who studied the issue, and they all say that there is no writing, there hasn't been, and there is no now writing on the issue. But that Jews, and this we know for sure, that Jews during the Holocaust were treated as Soviet citizens, no matter whether they were formerly citizens of Poland, citizens of Lithuania, citizens of Estonia, of Belarus, they were all Soviet citizens. So what is essence number 6 that we can think about from the point of view of the Soviets, or having taken a look at their stand? I think it is about historiography being used for national inspiration, national needs, national stature, national education, and not for historiography, for research per se in an objective manner. And we have to take into consideration that this may happen actually in every country when it reconsiders what happened to it during World War II. Last point. This event, such a dramatic one, such a, and even during the Holocaust, it is an unusual one. There was only one more commander of an underground that was given in, but in totally different conditions. That's Jean Moulin in France, and this is a totally different thing. It's so dramatic, it has so many elements. And therefore it was natural that many theater pieces have been written about it, poetry, prose, literary prose. And I'd like to point out that these plays and pieces and prose reflect the thinking of today, and I would give only 3 examples. Well, three examples of 3 plays that have not only been written by all, but also put on stage. One is a play by a lady from Canada, Chava Rosenfeld, obviously a Jew, a survivor of the ghetto, and she wrote a play called The Bird of the Ghetto bird, namely Wittenberg, a bird aspiring to fly out of its prison. And she, living in Canada, in a Jewish community, wrote about the ghetto community, sympathizing with the ghetto inhabitants, with their decisions, with their fears, with their wish to live. Then came another play, perhaps before, the timing is not important. Then came another play, written by Yitzhak Sadeh, who was the commander of the Palmach. That was the commando unit of the armed forces in pre-state Israel. Obviously, he sympathized with the underground and with the commander. And he wrote with the commander and the underground at the center and praised them for what they did and for the sacrifice that he made and for the wish to fight. Then came Yoshua Sobol. Yoshua Sobol is a very known playwright in Israel and abroad. He has international fame. But a piece that he wrote was obviously his worst one. It was called Adam, namely a person, a human being. And it was about Wittenberg, but written, Sobol is very much on the left side of the Israeli political map. And he is against any use of arms. So he wrote about Wittenberg as a small personality, hesitating, full of fears, and the underground members as a young Kinderlach who didn't know what to do and only risked the life of the ghetto. Naturally, all those who survived from the ghetto, underground and non-underground, members were against the play, and there were demonstrations and shouts, and it was taken off after a show, off the stage after a short while. These are three examples. But what can we end with? The Holocaust is being such a dramatic event in itself, all in all, is an inspiration for so many works of art, of literature, of theater, of movies, of whatever. We are living,
yes, it's fine.
We want to live with every diversity, with every opinion. Everything is open to everyone's description, as long as it is fair in taking into consideration all the complexities that we tried to describe. Thank you.